Our next honoree from Gloucester Catholic is Pat Murphy. Pat began his coaching career at Gloucester Catholic in 1978. On his way to being named varsity coach in 1984, he coached at the freshman and JV levels and served 2 tenures as their varsity coach. Pat totaled 327 career wins for the Rams, which ranks 27th all-time in South Jersey. He won league championships in 1994, 98, 2002, 2007, and 2008. Gloucester Catholic reached the title game for South Jersey Non-Public B in 2007, and Pat was named the Gloucester County Times Coach of the Year. The Rams were also named Team of the Year in 2007. He was selected to coach one of the teams in the Al Carino Boys Basketball Club All-Star Game on 2 separate occasions. Pat Murphy is the director of the Rams basketball camp since 1985, and is the athletic director since 2008 at Gloucester Catholic High School. Pat married his high school sweetheart in 1980, Teresa, and has 5 children, Casey, Ryan, Teresa Mary, Tara, and Kyle, and is the grandfather of 9. I'm going to tell a story about Pat. Pat and I coached against each other when I was at Eustis, and in 1992, and all the years prior to that, the games were always hotly contested. We're playing in 1992 in a South Jersey semi-final game that year. And the game prior to that was Gloucester Catholic boys and girls. So the gym was sold out for 4 hours. By the time we took the floor at 8 o'clock that night, it was approximately 110 degrees in there. Now, if you ever saw Pat coach, he put Rolly Massimino to shame. Meaning, 2 minutes into the game, the jacket was off, the tie was down to the bottom of his belt, okay? And he's going nuts. And his kids always, and I mean always, played inspired, always played tough, and were very, very well coached. Well, in that game before the game starts, and Pat didn't know this, one of his assistants, Kevin Wilson, came up to me and said, "You know what Murph said?" And I said, "What, Kev?" Murph said he's not taking off his jacket and unloosening his tie until you do. So I said, "Really?" So midway through the 4th quarter, I still have the tie, right? Still have the tie up, the jacket button. I looked at Murph, and he looked like a sponge from the bottom of the ocean. I mean, the man was soaked. Now, that says a lot about his dedication to a promise he made to himself, but it also tells something about the passion that he put into the game, the passion that his kids recognized. Never have I seen a coach inspire kids to run through a wall the way Pat Murphy did. Ladies and gentlemen, please recognize Pat Murphy.
Oh, Pat, congratulations. This is great. You've been a legend in the Gloucester area for years, and everything that Bill said about you is true. You certainly developed some outstanding basketball players, and you are a magic word in the town of Gloucester. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the Al Carino Club for everything they do to make high school basketball in South Jersey so important. And you've been doing it for 55 years, and I truly appreciate that. All my life I've been surrounded by wonderful teams. I would like to take a few minutes to acknowledge a few of them now. First, my fellow inductees, I'm honored to be part of this new team, and I'm so impressed with your careers. A special shout out to Megan Light of Gloucester City High School. For one night, at least, Gloucester City is truly the mecca of South Jersey basketball. To the team in which I've been part of the longest, I want to thank my brothers and sisters, brother-in-laws and sister-in-laws for not only coming out tonight, but for their support over the years. Being the oldest of 8 gave me some leadership responsibilities at an early age. I want to recognize Gloucester Catholic's #1 fan, my mother-in-law, Mrs. Dolores Bedessa. She is the kindest person I know until you talk bad about Gloucester Catholic. I'd like to acknowledge my mother, who has been my #1 fan and through the support of my father and her, allowed me to fulfill the dream to coach. I think she's more excited about this award tonight than I am. Thanks for coming, Mom. My father is not with us anymore, and I'm sure he'd been very proud. He was a former assistant coach of football at Gloucester Catholic, and he taught me the toughness to get through the hard times. My special team, my wife Teresa and her 5 children, Casey and his wife, Beth Ann, Ryan and Laura, John, with Teresa Mary, and then my second generation, Tara and Kyle. I'm never more happy than when I'm with my children and my 9 grandchildren. They bring me so much pleasure, and I love you guys. None of this would be possible without the former First Lady of Rams basketball, my wife Teresa. She's been with me since high school and has supported me every inch of the way. It's no secret that a key ingredient for a successful coach is a supportive wife. Because of the long hours of the basketball season, she spent so much time with the kids to make sure they were always cared for. She's so supportive. In fact, she's bugging me to get back into coaching. Now, I don't know if she's being supportive or she wants me back out of the house, but I love her to death. I've been very fortunate to have many coaches in my life guide me along the way. Joe Kogan was my first coach. I never played organized basketball until 8th grade. Things weren't going well, and I was actually going to quit. He believed in me and was the first person to help foster my love of the game. Tony Powers was my high school coach, and is the reason I ever received the opportunity to coach. Getting off the bus my senior year after losing a state playoff game, I shook his hand and I told him I wanted to get into coaching. He kept his word, and he allowed me to work my way up through the ranks. I learned so much about basketball and life as a player and a member of his staff. I will forever be in debt to him for his knowledge and opportunities he afforded me. Ralph Sequello. To me, he's Uncle Ralph. To others, I refer to him as the coach's coach. He has been an inspiration to me all my life. From letting me be the ball boy when Chris Ford of Holy Spirit hit the Rams up for 50 points. Just kidding, Ralph, I had to get that one in there. To watching him win 2 state championships and the excitement those teams generated in our town. To hundreds of quick hitters he wrote on index cards when I was a coach. But more important, for always having my back when things were tough. He always sees the positive in people and in situations. I could never imagine being in the same Hall of Fame as my uncle. And there were many others along the way. Pete Carrera, Joe Murphy, Tom Lycovone, Art DePatrick, Al Rodana, and Bill Olben. They all had a positive effect on my coaching style, and I thank them all. I'd like to thank my team of administrators over the years and in the athletic department. Father Martelli, Father Johnson, John Coleman, Ed Beckett, Jerry Scharf, Kevin Fay, Tony Sidoti, and Ryan Murphy. A special shout out to all my Gloucester Catholic family that are here tonight. Thank you for all my co-workers who make Gloucester Catholic such a special place to work. We are GC. To my assistant coaches, I have been blessed to work with some of the hardest working men I've ever been around. From the early days on, Rob Lycovone, Joe Reardon, and Tom Flynn. They worked so hard. These men checked their egos at the door, and they worked for the betterment of the program. They stressed the fundamentals, helped with the scouting, but more importantly, they were excellent role models for our players. They earned the respect of each and every player. Sometimes I dream about gathering up that old staff one more time for one more run. Dennis Calzanetti, who was an outstanding player in his own right and was such an asset to the program. He volunteered countless hours working at players in the off-season. Jack Dykey, the best director of basketball operations in South Jersey. Before emails and texts, there was the call from Jack. On bad weather days, the players could await to hear his famous voice, "No practice today, boys." The next generation of assistant coaches, with whom 3 played for me, Bill Green, Tom McNelia, George Bakey, and Todd Powers. They brought fresh and new ideas to the program. They challenged me to try new concepts, and the team was better for it. All four went on to be head coaches themselves, and it gives me great pleasure to follow their careers. The officials. I like to think I had a good relationship with the officials, and I'm very honored to be in the same class as Frankie Henry. He was a blue-collar guy who really had a feel for the game, and he's a man of integrity. One year we had a state game, and the other official from the North chapter, we weren't getting any calls. I said, "Frank, your partner, he's killing us." Frankie said, "Murph, what do you want me to do?" I said, "Frankie, cheat." Frankie laughed, I laughed, it calmed me down, and we played on. He's a good man. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the team of our annual basketball camp. Since the 1980s, we have been running the Rams Basketball School. Over the summer, hundreds of campers have attended the camp. Former campers have gone on to be counselors and coaches themselves. I'm always running into former campers who retell the fond memories they have of the camp. I still get excited every summer to instill the love I have for basketball in these campers. It's often been said, success is a journey, not a destination. When Bill Hildner called me to deliver the news of my induction, I was working a boys soccer parents' night game. The AD job at times becomes very time consuming, and sometimes I forgot I even had a career as a coach. It took me by surprise because it wasn't something I was thinking about. And then I thought, wow, I am so humbled to receive this award. We never won a state championship, but the more I think about it, it was a really good era of Gloucester Catholic basketball, and I was fortunate to be the guy running the ship. I'm accepting this honor on behalf of a lot of good players and a lot of good coaches, and it was a lot of fun. My first experience was as a 19-year-old freshman coach at Gloucester Catholic, and I was a sophomore taking education courses. And I would often tell my professor, if you wanted to be a good teacher, try being a first-year coach. It taught me the importance of preparation, education, evaluation, motivation, some persuasion, and a whole lot of humiliation. I coached 2 years on the freshman level and 2 years on the JV level. It was a wonderful opportunity and learning experience, and it really prepared me for what lied ahead. In 1984, Tony Powers left Gloucester Catholic for a career change, and I was named the head coach. That was the good news. The bad news was we were a member of the Olympic Conference, arguably the best basketball league in South Jersey. I was 24 years old, and I had to grow up in a hurry. Every week you were playing a top 10 team, so you better be good, you better do your homework, you better have your kids ready, and you better find some kind of motivational edge to get them over the top. There were such great coaches back then: Bill Lang, Jim Crawford, Bill Smothers, and Steve Selby. I guess you could define my career in two eras: the Olympic years and the Tri-County years. The Tri-County era brought about new rivalries. We won the first conference championship in school history and coached against many fine coaches: Bob Riles, Bill Hoskins, Mike Burke, Tom Tarullo, Grant Shivers, and Billy Hunt, to name a few. In recent weeks, people have asked me who my favorite teams were and my favorite players. That's impossible, and I refuse to. Rather, I prefer to focus on the journey and reflect on some of the things we did in the program that were memorable. The Midnight Madness practices, our annual communion breakfast, our yearly themes, In the Air Tonight, the No Surrender Tour, In Pursuit of a Championship, to name a few. Playing games at Gloucester Catholic is one of the greatest venues in South Jersey, and if you haven't been to a game there, go sometime. There's no parking, the bleachers are uncomfortable, the scoreboard doesn't show tenths of a second, the bleacher creases are loud, and it was one hell of a home court advantage. The circle. Each practice we would meet at center circle to do a prayer or meditation, for years led by Coach Tom Flynn. Many times it was a powerful time to deliver a message that was often non-basketball related. issues about the school, the struggles of the teen years, our faith. We often did our best teachable moments in our circle talks. Hosting St. Anthony's at Gloucester Catholic one night was a memorable experience. Overnight camps at the Poconos, honoring former teams and players prior to a game. Our last senior game meal. Scouting trips to North Jersey to prepare for the playoffs. Working the soup kitchen in Camden on Martin Luther King Day. Sending Christmas cards to the former players. Pre-game meals before the tournament games hosted by Mr. and Mrs. O'Donnell at their restaurant in town. The Tri-County Conference Championship games at Salem Community College. The Gloucester versus Gloucester Catholic games. Always sold out. The games were so intense. One year, we actually had, out of 10 starters, 9 kids from the city of Gloucester start that game. As I conclude this speech, there is one special group that I've neglected to talk about, but without doubt are the most special, the players. I was fortunate to have coached 7 of the 12 1,000-point scorers in the history of our school. Although we all know we need scorers to win, it's the players who contributed behind the scenes that I have the most fond memories of. The guys who took the offensive foul, made the extra pass for Gloucester Catholic, worked hard on the scout team to prepare for our next opponent. A good program needs all these types of players to be successful. I was blessed with such quality young men. People often ask me, what do you miss most about coaching? And I say the relationships with my players. Recently, I reviewed a list of players, and here's what they're doing now. Salesmen, serving our country in the military, carpenters, electricians, school administrators, business leaders, guidance counselors, policemen, systems analysts, sports writers, college professors, project managers, bankers, attorneys, basketball officials, FBI agents, state troopers, and even a few basketball coaches. No one made it to the NBA, but they are husbands and fathers, and they are having a positive impact on our society. As their former coach, I could not be prouder. It's true, we never reached our final destination, a state championship. And God knows we tried really hard. But we can safely say that we had one hell of a journey, and I was fortunate enough to be steering the ship. In closing, I'm a very lucky guy. As a teenager, my goal in life was to teach and coach at the one school that I truly loved, Gloucester Catholic. God and many people allowed me to achieve that goal, and I'm grateful. As we say at Gloucester Catholic, once a Ram, always a Ram. Thank you.
Our final inductees